2 cards from your hand and search your deck for any card. So Ace Specs are coming back to our format starting in 2024, so definitely exciting stuff on the horizon. And tonight we have our first Obsidian Flames League night here at the Forge, so definitely stay tuned and see what the players are bringing to the table with those new decks. Stay tuned and we'll see you in a few minutes for round 1. Welcome back to the Forge League Night. Round 1 is getting ready to go here. We have Wyatt on the left side of the screen there with an Arceus Giratina list, and Tim on the right side playing that Lost Zone Giratina. So one version of Giratina versus the other. Let's see who can come out on top. As far as I know, neither of these players are playing anything too spicy in their lists. But the interesting thing is I'm not sure how Tim necessarily has his Lost Giratina list built. But most of the time, Giratina lists are playing Path to the Peak now. And the only stadium card that Wyatt should have in his Arceus Giratina list is Path to the Peak. And so whoever gets that Path to the Peak in play first, that's going to be the stadium in play the rest of the game most likely. And Wyatt definitely hoping that that Path to the Peak doesn't come down before he's able to use his Arceus V-Star's Starbirth V-Star power. So we'll see how things go for this game. I see the players are flipping that coin to see who is going to go first and dealing out their starting hands. And for Wyatt here, it looks like he's going to be starting that Spiritomb, which is definitely not a good starter for him in this matchup. Only 60 HP, something very easy for Tim's Sableye to pick off. And that Sableye's ability, shutting off basic V's abilities, is not going to do anything against this Lost Zone Giratina list because they don't have any basic V's to use. And Wyatt with, I think, one of the most heartbreaking starts you can have as an Arceus player. No Nest Ball to find the Arceus V to start this game, and he just has Judge, Boss's Orders, Energy, all these cards that he just can't really use on this turn. And Tim has Colress's Experiment to start. Tim could end the game on this turn if he's able to find a Cramorant and get 4 cards in that Lost Zone, and off to a good start here with that Colress. But I did see that Colress got him a good amount of energy. I'm not seeing a lot of switching cards in hand. No Battle VIP Pass, no way to find more Pokemon. So potentially Wyatt is safe for another turn here. We see that switch card, see a Giratina V and some energy in that Colress for Tim. And Tim ultimately getting rid of that Giratina V-Star and the Psychic Energy. Let's see, I believe I see a Giratina V in that hand for Tim. We're going to see this Comfy's Flower Selecting first. It's going to give him that Jet Energy and a switch card, but not sure what he's going to take here. No way to find more basic Pokemon, so I have to think we're just going to see a Jet Energy into that Giratina V and play an Abyss Seeking to look at the top 4 cards of the deck, put 2 cards into the hand, 2 cards into the Lost Zone. And that looks like that's what Tim is doing here. Benches that Giratina V, attaches Jet Energy, which moves it to the active, gets that Path to the Peak down as well. And we see an Abyss Seeking come down, a switch, Jet Energy, and 2 waters. Definitely not what Tim wants to see. I think we're going to have to see him keep probably these 2 water energy, but looks like he's maybe going to get rid of that Raihan, or water energy and Jet Energy. Definitely a tough decision. You definitely don't want to see that many energies off of that Abyss Seeking. But with Wyatt getting a slow start here, I think Tim is in a pretty good spot and ultimately decides to get rid of those 2 water energies. So definitely a tough decision there for Tim, but Wyatt now passing over to his turn. Only a top deck of an energy for turn, but he did have that Judge in hand to play. So playing that Judge, both players shuffle their hand into their deck and draw 4 new cards. So really negating all of that card draw that Tim did on his turn, but I don't believe Tim had a Colress in hand. So we'll see if this Judge is able to find Tim that Colress. And only 4 cards for Wyatt here. One of them has to be an Arceus V and an energy, or Wyatt is in trouble. Both players just finishing shuffling up here. See what they're able to draw. It gets that Giratina V, Arceus V, Arceus V. It's all Pokemon for Wyatt, and it's not what he needs. He needs to find an energy, and he's just choosing to use that Spiritomb's attack, which picks up that Spiritomb, puts it back into his hand, so conserving that DTE that he had attached to the Spiritomb, but forcing him to put a vulnerable Arceus V into play. We see a Nest Ball coming down here now for Tim. I have to imagine we're going to find another Comfy here. And Tim's just in a good spot. He's going to be able to keep Abyss Seeking while Wyatt does nothing on the other side of the field. See what Tim is going to do here. That Radiant Greninja not really doing anything for Tim now that Path to the Peak is in play. So I have to imagine we're either going for another Giratina V here or a Comfy. But did he prize a lot of Comfys? It looks like he's got one more available to him. But choosing to go for that Giratina V, just wants to have it in play. And with how much time Tim has to be Abyss Seeking, it doesn't really matter. It looks like 2 more nest balls in that hand. So off of that Judge to 4, he found 3 nest balls, which you really can't ask for something better. He definitely wishes he could find a Colress's Experiment, but he's in a very good spot nonetheless. Going to get to 7 in the Lost Zone by the end of this turn at least, with that Abyss Seeking attack on the Giratina V. So off that nest ball, going to grab a Comfey and another Giratina V. Shuffling up here, and I don't believe Tim has any more cards left in hand, so it's just going to be an Abyss Seeking here, looking at the top 4, putting 2 in the Lost Zone, 2 into his hand. Definitely hoping to find a Colress off that Abyss Seeking. Tim making sure he's sufficiently randomizing that deck before this Abyss Seeking, and looks like he does have a couple more cards in hand, but it's just a Battle VIP pass and maybe another Comfey. It was a Psychic Energy. So we're going to see that Psychic Energy come down on the Giratina. And then Abyss Seeking. Looks like a lot of energy again on this Abyss Seeking. Definitely not what Tim wants to see. He keeps having these tough decisions on these Lost Zones. And this time I think he's got to save that energy. He's running low on energy in this deck if he throws any more into this Lost Zone. I think one of those cards might have been a Mirage Gate as well, but I'm not entirely sure. Definitely a Boss's Orders and 2 energies, and I'm not sure what the 4th card was. Yeah, it is a Mirage Gate, so Tim having to get rid of a Jet Energy and a Boss's Orders, keeping a Psychic Energy and a Mirage Gate, I believe. Now Wyatt top decks for turn. I believe it was an Escape Rope, and he just Escape Ropes. Playing that, hoping it messes up Tim a little bit, but I would have saved that Escape Rope. I think it just puts you in the same spot here. Just going to have to Trinity Nova. Now, Wyatt is in a good spot here. He's able to Trinity Nova and fully power up this this Giratina V-Star on his bench, which can one-shot any of Tim's Giratina V-Stars back. But if this Arceus V goes down before Wyatt is able to accelerate more energy into play, he's going to be on the back foot all game. Because that Giratina V-Stars attack does have to Lost Zone 2 energy, and if he's only got 3 in play, that means once he does that, he's not going to be able to attack on his next turn. So Wyatt praying that Tim still just has to Abyss Seeking again on this turn. And that may be the case. I think if I were Tim on that Escape Rope, I would have set up the Comfey to allow myself to dig a little bit deeper. He does have the Jet Energy in hand that he could, or no, he did get rid of the Jet Energy on his last turn. So he's going to Mirage Gate here. It looks like 4 energy left in the deck, 3 Grass and a Psychic. So he's going to have to grab that last Psychic out of his deck and attach a Grass as well. The rest of his hand is just energy for the most part. And I believe a Raihan. So a weird position for Tim here. The question is, do you just Abyss Seeking again? Or do you fully power up this Giratina V and start swinging into this Arceus V? Definitely a tough question for Tim here. I think you just kind of got to dig a little bit deeper into the deck, start finding those Colresses. I think that's why it would have been a good idea for Tim here to send up that Comfey on the Escape Rope, because it allows him to do a couple flower selectings, dig a little bit deeper, see if he can find a Colress. But this is the position we're in now. It looks like a Boss's Orders and some energy in hand. So attaching that energy and just going to shred into this Arceus V. Doing 160 damage to this Arceus V, and then Wyatt has an Iono here. I believe he must have gotten that off the top deck. Both players shuffle their hand to the bottom of their deck and draw cards for how many prize cards they have remaining, and both of them have 6 prize cards left, so they're both going to be able to draw 6 cards, but I believe Wyatt's hand is just all supporters and items. Looks like another Arceus V, a DTE as well. Choosing to switch into this Giratina V-Star, which is going to be a big swing for Wyatt because he can Lost Zone one of these double turbo energies off of his Arceus V to KO this Giratina V in Tim's active spot. So Wyatt actually going from a tough position here now to being ahead in this prize trade, taking 2 prizes off of that fully powered Giratina V. Tim looks like he has a V-Star in hand, but he's going to need to find a way to get a Grass Energy onto that Giratina V on the bench to have it fully powered up to be swinging on the next turn. Nest Ball here from Tim. I could find the Radiant Greninja, but I believe that's the only target left in his deck, and he is going to go for that Radiant Greninja here. The Radiant Greninja not doing much though for him. I believe we're going to see that Path to the Peak stay in play the entire rest of this game. Another thing too, after looking through Tim's deck here, we did think that Tim might have had the opportunity to donk Wyatt on turn 1 of the game and just KO that Spiritomb and for game with Cramorant, but it looks like Tim did prize his Cramorant. So unfortunately for Tim, even if he was able to make that play happen, he would not have had access to the Cramorant. Now we see a Flower selecting here for a switch card and another card, not sure what that second card is. Tim with some tough loss zone decisions this game, but gonna loss zone that switch card. Going up to 8 in the loss zone here. Looks like it might have been an escape rope or a switch cart on Tim's side of the field, and he chose to keep the escape rope, but I think there you definitely just keep the switch cart. You don't want that Giratina V-Star going to the bench. You wanted to KO that this turn. Looks like Tim on this Flower selecting hits, I believe, Raihan and a Grass Energy. Maybe it was a Mirage Gate and a Grass Energy, not entirely sure. Definitely a tough spot for Tim here though. Wyatt being able to power up that Giratina V-Star and swing last turn definitely put Tim on the back foot, and Tim's going to need some pretty good card draw here to get back into this game. It looks like it was a Raihan. That will get Tim an energy from his discard pile if Wyatt knocked one of Tim's Pokemon out last turn, which Wyatt did, and now Tim is going to be able to search his deck, and it looks like he's eyeing down a Super Rod here. Let's see what Tim chooses to do here. Super Rod would get some of those energies from Tim's discard pile back into his deck so he could Mirage Gate. But I think Tim actually needs to either find a switching card here or a Colress just for next turn. But grabbing Colress here for next turn doesn't do much against Arceus Giratina because you know they play so many Disruption supporters. Your hand is probably going away on the next turn. So Tim's still trying to decide what to take off of this Raihan. I think here you definitely just have to get a switch card or something if you have access to any more of those switching cards. It does have Jet Energy that could switch something into the active spot. But Tim has to swing here or he's going to be really on the back foot. He doesn't have Cramorant to do it. He's got to do it with one of these Giratina Vs, but if he does that and KOs this Arceus V, Wyatt can just get a return KO with his Giratina V-Star. And if Wyatt's able to do that, I think Tim is in a lot of trouble here. So potentially, you know, just leave this comfy active and pass and hope that Wyatt doesn't have a way to switch this Arceus V out of the active spot is maybe Tim's best hope right now. But we are going to see that Jet Energy into Giratina V and an Abyss Seeking. Not a bad call here from Tim. It means that Wyatt has to have a way to retreat out of this Arceus V or a way to switch it out of the active, and I don't think he does in his current hand. He's going to have to find a DTE or the switch or escape rope that he plays, and he's already played the switch. Wyatt finally finding that Arceus V-Star, but with the Path to the Peak in play, not going to be able to use that Starbirth V-Star power. Players just shuffling their hands into their deck. Both will draw 4 cards off of this judge. And Wyatt hoping to find a way to get this Arceus V out of the active position. Tim certainly hoping to find a Colress for next turn. We do not see a switching card here for Wyatt. He does have an energy that he can attach to something else on his board, but nothing going on in this hand for Wyatt at all. Gonna Nest Ball here, probably find that Bidoof. So on future turns, he can evolve that into a barrel and start drawing more cards, but definitely I think we're going to see that Bidoof come down here. Though weighing that decision, because Tim could have access to Sableye and just Sableye down that Bidoof, although that Sableyeing that Bidoof doesn't do a lot for Tim here. He's on a 6 prize trade here, on an even prize trade here. He's got to take 2 prizes, 2 prizes, 2 prizes. And using Sableye to knock out the Bidoof is not going to help Tim all that much. So I think Wyatt is safe to bench Bidoof here, but attaches to the active, which I think definitely a risky play for Wyatt here. You have to assume this active Pokemon is going to go down. Tim has access to... Well, he did have access last turn to the Giratina V-Star in hand. He did not choose to evolve one though, however, which I think might come back to bite Tim here if he's not able to find those again on this turn. And I'm not sure what we find off this flower selecting. He does have Mirage Gate in hand, choosing to get rid of a Colress on this flower selecting after he's been looking for a Colress all game. But it must have been that Giratina V-Star was the other decision, and Tim definitely just... I believe Tim has Boss KO on Wyatt's Giratina V-Star this turn. That is bad news for Wyatt. Great news for Tim. It means that Tim not only gets to take 2 prizes here, but Wyatt cannot take a return KO on one of Tim's Vs. So Tim bossing up that Giratina V-Star, going to be able to KO it with that, I forget what Giratina V-Star's V-Star attack is called, but doesn't have to discard any of those energies, and is just going to take the KO on Wyatt's Giratina V-Star. Both players now at 4 prizes, and Wyatt playing another judge here, hoping to disrupt Tim enough to the point where Wyatt can come back in this game, but Wyatt definitely is the one on the back foot now. He has no way to one-shot any of Tim's V-Stars. His best shot was the Giratina V-Star he had in play. Now that's gone, and he's going to have to start powering up another one if he wants to have a hope of winning this game. Wyatt does draw into the barrel off of that, so good thing he got the Bidoof into play last turn. He has the energy attachment. Now he can barrel for 3. Hoping to hit a Giratina V off this, but looks like he does hit the Skwovet, but I'm not entirely sure you want to play that Skwovet down. We had talked about last turn that Sableye's Lost Mine attack is a dangerous thing for these lower HP Pokemon, and we are just going to see a Trinity Nova here for 180 onto Tim's active, and attaching those energies to the benched Arceus V-Star. So Wyatt not going to be able to power up another Giratina V-Star this game. I believe he's out of the energy to be able to do that, and if Tim can just keep chaining attacks... Big mistake there from Tim. He does attack onto Wyatt's Arceus V-Star in the active, but he takes the energies off of the benched one, and you have to assume that this active Giratina is going to go down on this turn. You might as well just get rid of the energy on the active Giratina V-Star, unless Tim is worried about having access to those energies later. Maybe he needs to Super Rod those energies from the discard pile back into his deck and use a Mirage Gate to power up his benched Giratina V-Star. That could be what Tim's concern was there, but I think definitely a dangerous move to take that energy off of the benched Giratina V-Star. Now an Iono to 2 for Tim from Wyatt, and Wyatt has energy in hand. He's fully powered up this Arceus V-Star now, and he's going to be able to take 2 prizes on this Arceus, or on Tim's active Giratina V-Star. And with that V-Guard energy on his Arceus V-Star, Wyatt is not in danger of getting return KO'd by Tim's Giratina V-Star, even if he finds the cards to power it up. So Wyatt finding a way to come back in this game after he started on the back foot, came back with some aggression, fell back onto the back foot again, and now Wyatt's back up as the foremost player in this game, definitely in the best position to win here. But we'll see what Tim is able to put together on this turn. Tim shuffling that hand, definitely, I don't think he's happy with that Iono to 2. I think he's in a tough position here. Hoping to find a Colress, hoping to find Mirage Gates, get this Giratina V-Star powered up that's on his bench. What we could see Tim do here is start setting up some damage with a Sableye on this turn potentially. meaning that that V-Guard can be ignored and he can just take the KO on the Arceus on his next turn with the Giratina V-Star, but not sure if he's going to have those pieces to put that play together. Can't quite see what's in Tim's hand, not totally sure what he's deciding against. He has to Lost Zone a Mirage Gate. And I think that's at least the third Mirage Gate down. Tim in a tough position here, but he does have the escape rope into the Sableye. He is going to be able to Lost Mine here. Wyatt sending up that Skwovet, assuming that Tim's going to Lost Mine it, or if not, he does have the energy to retreat that Skwovet on his next turn. But all of that damage coming down onto the Bibarel, and that makes sense for Tim. If he's able to recycle this Sableye and do it again, he's going to be able to take out that Skwovet and take his last prize for game. So Tim going down to 1 prize here. Wyatt's going to have to find a way to get past this. He has to KO the Sableye now. There's no other choice for Wyatt but to KO this Sableye, but he bosses up the Giratina V-Star. So what he's really betting here is that Tim doesn't have another switching card. I'm not sure what's in Tim's hand, but if he does have a switching card, Tim is just going to win this game on the next turn. Looks like nothing in that hand for Tim. And if Tim just has to pass here, Wyatt wins the game. Nothing in that hand for Tim. Couldn't do anything about it, and Wyatt wins the game, bossing up that Giratina V-Star, trapping it active. The game is over. Well played by both players. Definitely some very tough Lost Zone decisions there for Tim in that game. And Wyatt with a tough start, just attaching to Spirit Tomb and passing, but able to find all those Vs off the Judge on his next turn, and those were able to get him going. Even though Path was in play, he never got to V-Star, but Wyatt just able to piece those plays together out of nowhere, finally taking down Tim's Giratina V-Star deck and showing off that maybe Arceus V-Star, Giratina V-Star is a better deck than Lost Zone Giratina V-Star. Who knows? The battle continues. Be back here in a few minutes with round 2. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Forge Tuesday League night. We are getting ready for round 2 of 4 tonight. We have Oscar on the left side piloting that Gardevoir EX deck, which just got second place at Worlds last weekend in Yokohama, Japan. And on the right side here, we have Davin playing that Rapid Strike Toolbox deck with Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX and Inteleon VMAX. Definitely one of those tougher matchups, I think, for Oscar, but in some situations, a very good Guardy player can play around all those damage counters that Rapid Strike deck wants to put into play and can come out on top. The scary thing for Davin is that if he puts that Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX into play too soon, Oscar does hit for weakness on it with those Psychic Pokemon, and Davin's just going to give up 3 prizes. So Davin has to play this game carefully, but I know he's been on this Rapid Strike deck for a long time, so he certainly knows how to play this matchup. Oscar on the other side going to have to be careful around those Inteleon VMAX pings with that Double Gunner ability, and have to watch out for some Yoga Loop plays as well. So it'll be exciting to see how this game goes. Looks like Davin on the other side started with a Rapid Strike Urshifu V, I believe, and both of these players just setting out their prize cards. We'll get this game going. Oscar looks like he has a Battle VIP pass in hand, which is definitely the way you want to start as the Gardevoir EX player. We'll see these players fist bumping to start the game. Looks like it was an Inteleon V, not an Urshifu V, which is much better for Davin in this position. Benching that Remoraid, he has Rapid Strike Energy in hand. Looks like he also has an Ultra Ball to go find any other Pokemon that he might want to find. Getting rid of a Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX and a Cheryl off of that Ultra Ball, and going to find all of his Pokemon here, just pulling them to the front of the deck, checking his prizes, making sure no key pieces of these Pokemon are prized this game. Looks like he does have plenty of Pokemon there. I don't see any crucial key pieces here prized for Davin. Looks like he has access to the Medicham V, the Radiant Alakazam, all of the Inteleons he could wish for, and just ultimately choosing that Inteleon V off of that Ultra Ball. Davin shuffling up here. We'll see if he has any other cards to play out of his hand. I'm sure we'll see an energy attachment come down onto the Inteleon V here. And not quite sure what the other cards in hand are, but we're just seeing a pass here from Davin. And Oscar top decks that second Battle VIP pass. Just going to play them both down right away. What a great start for Oscar. Really can't ask for anything better. And Davin did have a little bit of a slower start. I know Davin wants to see some of those Battle VIP passes himself, and did not find those, and I'm not sure if Davin even has a supporter card in hand for the next turn. So Oscar could have this dream start here. 2 Battle VIP passes for himself and his start, giving Oscar that opportunity to get ahead in this matchup. Start evolving these small basic Pokemon with low HP into those bigger Pokemon that have more HP, that aren't as affected by these Rapid Strike damage counters that they want to move around the board. Oscar finding a Fog Crystal here and using it to find that Zacian V. And I believe what we're going to see here from Oscar is an attachment to that Zacian V and a Roar of the Sword. But before we see that, I think we do have some supporters in Oscar's hand that he is going to use. Just sorting out his bench here. We see an Energy, a Research, and an Iono, and I have to imagine we're just going to see a Research played here. Getting those energies into the discard is very crucial for this Gardevoir EX deck. Wants to get those into the discard pile quickly, and we see this Research for 7. Finds him another energy so he can attach that energy for turn. Plenty of other cards to work with here as well for his next turn. We're going to see that Radiant Greninja discard a card with its Concealed Cards ability to find Oscar 2 more cards, and Oscar in a pretty good position for this next turn. Got ways to find Kirlia. He definitely is going to want to find ways to find a rare candy and evolve into a Gardevoir EX relatively quickly. We're going to use this Fog Crystal to find a Psychic Energy, and I imagine we're going to see that Psychic Energy attached to Zacian V, and then a Roar of the Sword. And that's what we see here, attachment to that Zacian V, Roar of the Sword to find a Psychic Energy from his deck and attach it to one of his Psychic Pokemon, and choosing to attach it to that Zacian V. Pass over to Davin now here, who I think is living off of the top deck. Finds another Remoraid, has Medicham V and a Rapid Strike Energy in hand. Definitely not what Davin wants to see here. He's hoping that Oscar would Iono him, I think, on that previous turn, and we're just going to see Inteleon V's second attack here used with 2 of those Rapid Strike energies attached to it to KO that Cresselia. That's going to allow Oscar here to promote that Zacian V, and all Oscar needs to find is a rare candy. And he has a pretty good hand here, but he's going to need to concealed cards here, I think, first, or potentially play that Ultra Ball for a Curlia, something like that, but definitely wants to thin out this deck a little bit, start digging a little deeper to find that rare candy. It looks like an Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball gonna get rid of that Mew and the Lost Vacuum. Doesn't need the Lost Vacuum really in this matchup, so definitely something he can get rid of. And gonna not need that Mew in this matchup either. It has only 60 hit points and definitely is not something that you want to have on your field for these Inteleons to target with their Double Gunner ability. So he's gonna Ultra Ball for that Curlia. Looks like we have Blue Crimson here in the chat asking, is this standard? Technically it's standard, but we also have Obsidian Flames legal, which currently isn't standard legal until next weekend, but because the set just came out, we are having it legal for tonight. Oscar using that Concealed Cards ability, drawing into a Ralts and a Boss's Orders. Not quite what he needs to set up that Gardevoir EX, but he can refinement something away here to dig a little bit deeper for that rare candy. And can he find it off these next 2 cards? It's the first card he finds, that rare candy. Gonna be able to get this Gardevoir EX into play, and he's going to take a knockout on this Inteleon V with 2 Rapid Strike energy on it. What a dig for Oscar. Finds the exact cards he needs. He's going to be able to bench this Ralts here as well if he feels the need to, but I don't think he has any need to. Just going to get 5 energy onto this Zacian with that Psychic Embrace ability from the Gardevoir EX, and he's going to be able to take a KO on this Inteleon V. David not only losing one of his V Pokemon, but losing 2 Rapid Strike energy at once. A terrible blow to David here, and he's going to have to find a really good top deck to stay in this game, and it was just a Nest Ball. I don't think that's enough, and Oscar's just going to be swinging for a bunch of damage every turn. Now with that Zacian V powered up, with that Gardevoir EX in play, and unfortunately for Oscar, he did refinement away that Boss's Orders. If he had kept that Boss's Orders, he'd be able to boss up another Inteleon V, take a KO on it next turn, but still Oscar in a very good position here in this game. David Nest balling for another Inteleon V. I think we're just going to see a pass. Passes it back to Oscar. Oscar with that Temple of Sinnoh, which is also a very scary card for David. Doesn't want to see that. That shuts off the power of his Rapid Strike energy that he has left. Oscar playing Level Ball for that Curlia. Going to have 2 refinement abilities online, allowing him to discard a card from his hand and draw 2. We're going to see him playing that Pal Pad to get that Boss's Orders back and a Professor's Research, shuffling those back into his deck. And if he's able to rip that Boss's Orders off of one of these refinements, we're going to see another Inteleon V go down this turn. Alright, we're going to see a Concealed Cards here from Oscar, getting rid of that Reversal energy. Doesn't feel the need for it this game. Draws into a Shining Arcana Gardevoir and an Ultra Ball. We're going to see a refinement here, getting rid of that Psychic energy. Drawing more cards, just digging deeper, trying to find that Boss's Orders. Can evolve that Curlia that just used refinement into Shining Arcana Gardevoir to draw 2 more cards with it. But we're going to see another refinement first, getting rid of the Iono. No reason to Iono your opponent here, and he finds the Boss's Orders off of that refinement. Another Inteleon V going to go down on this turn, and Oscar going to 2 prize cards remaining, and still has that Shining Arcana ability to use. Finds Iono and another Psychic energy off of it. Oscar could not ask for better draws this game. Going to go down to 2 prize cards remaining on this turn. And he can even play down this Temple of Sinnoh potentially to lock David out of an attack next turn as well. So David drawing for turn. Is it anything he can use? He finally finds an Iono. Going to Iono Oscar down to only 2 cards in hand. And David himself going to be able to draw up to a hand of 6. But does he find anything here? He does find the Inteleon VMAX, but he really needs to find a Tower of Waters and a Rapid Strike Octillery to evolve this Remoraid. David not out of the woods yet, despite the fact that he's able to start drawing cards now, but we are going to see that first Double Gunner come down. I have to imagine we're going to target down that Curlia and the Manaphy. And that's exactly where we see that damage go, and just a pass back to Oscar. Oscar was able to draw into an Iono of his own, and he has these Refinement and Shining Arcana abilities to draw more cards. Oscar playing a level ball here, and thin that deck out of any cards that can be drawn, but he does have that Ralts to take out with that level ball, but going to choose that Kirlia there as well. He still has Shining Arcana to use to draw a couple more cards, as well as an Iono in hand. So Oscar has plenty of things to do still on this turn. If he finds another Boss's Orders, the game is just over. We're going to see that Shining Arcana come down. Rare Candy, and the Boss's Orders for game onto the Medicham V. Oscar just back-to-back turns using Boss's Orders, finding that Rare Candy when he needed to evolve that Gardevoir EX, and taking this game over what can be a very tough matchup for Gardevoir if you don't have a fast setup. But Oscar, with one of the fastest setups you can get with this Gardevoir EX deck, finding every card that he needed, and David unfortunately going down to just some bad luck with those hands that he drew at the start of the game. Just couldn't find a supporter soon enough. Eventually found the Iono, but it was too little too late for David and his Rapid Strike box deck. So Oscar going to 2-0 tonight here in this tournament with his Gardevoir EX deck, and not really much of a surprise there. Gardevoir EX, a very strong deck, just got second at Worlds and doesn't show any signs of slowing down. So great match there, and we will be back with round 3 in just a little bit of this 4-round tournament here tonight at the Forge. Welcome back to Tuesday Night Pokemon League here at the Forge. Heading into our round 3 here, we have a seniors match for you. We have Lorelei on the left playing Gardevoir EX, and Isaiah on the right side here. Not sure what he is playing, but we'll see that soon enough, as soon as our players start shuffling up their decks and we get this game going here. But these players just getting ready for us. If my memory serves me right, I think Isaiah's been playing a lot of Miraidon EX recently, so we could be seeing a Gardevoir EX versus Miraidon matchup here. So we'll see what happens in this matchup as these players get their decks shuffled up and their hands dealt out to start round 3. Definitely an exciting match last round with Oscar and Davin. Oscar overcoming that tough matchup for Gardevoir EX, taking down the Rapid Box. Personally, I love to see it. Not a fan of the Rapid Box deck myself, but yeah, definitely well played by both players. And it looks like I'm seeing Lightning Energy in Isaiah's deck, so I think we are going to see Miraidon EX versus Gardevoir EX. And this is kind of an interesting matchup. Lorelei has to get going pretty quickly here because this Miraidon EX deck can start attacking on turn 1 if they go second. So if Lorelei doesn't get a lot of bench Pokemon out, she can fall behind with Isaiah just taking out all of those Ralts and Kirlia and Gardevoir pieces each turn. So Lorelei definitely wants to make sure that she starts a Pokemon if she goes first, that she's not too worried about getting knocked out, and definitely wants to find a couple VIP pass in this starting hand. But it looks like we just have Level Ball, Fog Crystal, and a Manaphy. But luckily for Lorelei, if she hasn't prized her Mew, she can retreat out of that Manaphy with those Psychic Energies in hand, go find a Mew with either the Fog Crystal or the Level Ball, and use that Mew's Mysterious Tail ability to try to find a Battle VIP pass on this turn 1. Isaiah on the other side here looks like he has Radiant Greninja in hand, a few Ball Search cards, a Regieleki V in the active spot, and top deck's an Iono, but no energy in that hand, it doesn't look like, to utilize this Radiant Greninja's ability, but he does have an S-Ball to go find himself that first Miraidon. Miraidon EX with its Tandem Unit ability is going to be able to fill up Isaiah's bench here and find him more of those lightning Pokemon. I have to imagine we're going to see this Miraidon EX come down, utilize that Tandem Unit ability, and probably find a Raikou, potentially another Miraidon EX to utilize another Tandem Unit ability. But we see that Isaiah is playing the Mareep and the Flaffy as well in this Lightning deck, so we could see him want to bring some of those down to the bench as well. So I think we're going to see this Tandem Unit. Looks like he's eyeing up one Regieleki V and potentially a Raikou V here. And that is what Isaiah chooses. I imagine he's going to save that last bench spot for a Flaffy, and he just has to find one here. But he did have an Ultra Ball in hand to go find that Flaffy if he wishes to this turn. Isaiah, pretty good start here. I believe he has the electricity generator in hand as well. If he wants to dig into that deck and find a couple of lightning energy to attach to these benched lightning Pokemon. And it looks like he's going to play this, but has to shuffle up that deck first. So Isaiah shuffling up here. Lorelei giving that deck a cut, and then we're going to see this electric generator coming down, and Isaiah gets to look at the top 5 cards of his deck and attach up to 2 lightning energy he finds there to his benched lightning Pokemon in any way he likes. And he does hit 2 lightning energy. Fairly unlikely to hit 2, but always feels good when you're able to hit both. And I think we're probably going to see these lightning energy either spread out between maybe the Miraidon and the Raikou, or both of them just go right onto the Raikou. And I think that's what Isaiah is choosing to do here, just chooses to take both of those lightning energy, attach them to that benched Raikou V, and I think we're just going to see the pass for turn over to Lorelei. And her top deck for turn here is that Gardevoir EX, so Lorelei does have the ability to use that Level Ball, go into the deck, find that Mew if she hasn't prized it, and it looks like it's there. We'll see if she chooses to eye that down, retreat out of the Manaphy, and use that Mew's Mysterious Tail ability to dig a little bit deeper into her deck, try to find a Battle VIP pass. See what she chooses to take off of this Level Ball, though. It's going to have to be a Ralts or a Mew. And it looks like she is choosing to take that Mew. Good choice there from Lorelei. Going to be able to attach that Psychic Energy in hand to the Manaphy, retreat out of it, and utilize that Mew's Mysterious Tail ability. We'll see if Lorelei decides to utilize that Fog Crystal she also has in hand first, or whether or not she just goes right into the Mysterious Tail. Personally, I think we want to play that Fog Crystal first, get one card out of that deck, probably a Ralts, and then hope to find a Battle VIP pass off this Mysterious Tail. It looks like we're just going right into the Mysterious Tail ability. We're going to look at the top 6 cards of her deck, grab any item card, or one item card that she finds there. And looks like there's an Ultra Ball. Corlia, can she find a Battle VIP pass off of this next card? Just making sure she's not drawn too many. And it looks like it's just going to be an Ultra Ball here for Lorelei, but that's okay. She can use Ultra Ball plus Fog Crystal and go find 2 Ralts here to get her bench going. I have to imagine that's what we're going to see from Lorelei, but I think she did have a pretty tough hand. Other than that, no supporters to play aside from a Penny. Now, interestingly enough, I guess she could Penny this Mew and go into the Manaphy. She'd rather have Isaiah take a KO on the Manaphy next turn, and she can promote the Mew and utilize its Mysterious Tail ability again. That could be an option, or she might just use that Penny as discard fodder for that Ultra Ball she found off of the Mysterious Tail. But Fog Crystal here, going to find a Ralts for Lorelei, shuffling up her deck, and we'll see what she chooses to do for the rest of this turn. Early in hand, I think Lorelei could Ultra Ball away, Psychic and a Penny, potentially, find another Ralts. She could also discard the Gardevoir EX and brought it back later. See what she decides to do, but I think we have to see this Ultra Ball come down and get another Ralts. So, I'm going to discard that Penny and that Psychic Energy, utilizing that Ultra Ball to go find herself another Ralts. Lorelei shuffling up her deck here, and I think that's about it for her turn. Probably just going to see a pass back over to Isaiah, who has a pretty good hand. I believe he has an Iono, which is actually going to help Lorelei. Going to give her a fresh hand of 6 cards if he chooses to play it. He also has another electricity generator to get more electric energy into play. Lightning energy. Just a pass from Lorelei back over to Isaiah, waiting with that great hand. He top decks a research too, so he doesn't even have to Iono here if he doesn't want to. And he can use that Ultra Ball to discard whatever 2 cards he doesn't want from this hand and either go find a Regieleki VMAX, which I think is what he'll choose to find given that it has free retreat. And then we'll be able to use that electricity generator and then a supporter for turn, and choosing to discard those Ionos. Seeing that Lorelei has a small hand size there, doesn't want to give her a fresh hand of 6 cards, and top decking that research gave him that opportunity to not have to give Lorelei a fresh hand, and he's definitely going to capitalize on that here. Going to find the Regieleki VMAX, which has free retreat, so on this turn, going to be able to free retreat into that Raikou V and take a knockout on this Mew. Not before we see an electricity generator come down and look at the top 5 cards, attach up to 2 lightning energy from those 5 cards, his bench lightning Pokemon in any way he likes, and finds 1 there. So found 2 last turn, finds 1 this turn. Not bad, definitely what you want to see. Always feels bad to totally whiff on the electric generators, but finds that lightning energy, and we're probably going to see that come down onto the Miraidon. And now just a research, probably from Isaiah, getting a new hand of 7 cards, and doesn't even have to discard anything off of that research. So that's always nice to see. Getting a fresh hand of 7 cards here. Can he find that Mareep to start getting the Flaffy set up? Looks like he does, and finds plenty of lightning energy that he can start attaching for turn. He can also utilize that Concealed Cards ability on his Radiant Greninja to draw himself a couple more cards, get those lightning energy into the discard pile, so that he can start attaching them to his bench Pokemon once he gets a Flaffy in play. But instead of benching that Mareep, he does just choose to bench that Raikou V here. And we're going to see the Concealed Cards. Gets a Trekking Shoes and a Nest Ball. Plays the Trekking Shoes for another Trekking Shoes. I think you just definitely take that. Plays the Trekking Shoes, gets a Serena, and discards that Serena and draws an Iono. So definitely a good turn here for Isaiah. Going to be able to take KO with this Raikou. I'm not sure he's utilized his fleet-footed ability yet, but hopefully he won't forget to do that. Draw 1 extra card when this Raikou V is in the active spot. Just using this Lightning Rondo attack on the Raikou V, going to take his first prize on that Mew. Lorelei forced to decide what to send up here, and I think smartly she decides to promote this Manaphy. She doesn't have much going on in this hand, and she draws a Super Rod for turn, so she's going to have to Refinement away this Gardevoir EX, I believe. She can always Super Rod it back, so chooses to discard the Super Rod, draws into Psychic Energy and Psychic Energy. Definitely tough, and she has to hope that Isaiah doesn't draw into a boss on her next turn, because I think we're just going to see Attach Energy pass here from Lorelei. Attaches it to this Kirlia. Obviously, she has the Gardevoir EX still in hand, so she can evolve next turn from this Kirlia into the Gardevoir EX and start attacking, but she's going to be in a tough position with Isaiah putting on so much aggression here on his second turn, and finds a Bravery Charm to increase the HP of this Raikou V from 200 to 250. He has plenty of cards to work with in hand. It looks like he does have a Boss's Orders, and I have to imagine we're going to just see Isaiah Boss's Orders up this Kirlia on Lorelei's bench and put her into a tough position. Attaching more energy for turn onto this Miraidon. And I see that Boss's Orders. I'm not sure there's much else that Isaiah can do here, so we're just going to see that Boss's Orders come to the front of his hand. Chooses to Boss's Orders up that Kirlia. I'm going to take a KO on it with this Lightning Rondo attack from Raikou V. Isaiah going down to 4 prize cards remaining. Lorelei preying on a good top deck here, but I'm not sure what a top deck can do other than, I guess it finds her a Kirlia, which is what she just lost in the last turn. That Kirlia can draw her some more cards, and she's going to have to just Refinement away that Psychic Energy and hope she finds an Iono or something. VIP pass Tough position here for Lorelei. Do you bench the Zacian V, start powering it up with its Roar of the Sword ability, or are you worried about it getting Boston KO'd? And Isaiah certainly has the ability to do that because he does have the supporter card Serena in hand, which is a boss's orders on Pokemon V. Lorelei just forced to pass it back to Isaiah. Isaiah does not have... He top decks the boss's orders. I think this is just going to be game here for Lorelei. This is going to be the last Ralts Kirlia Gardevoir piece that she has on her field, and no way to draw any more cards and get more out. And Isaiah just taking a dominant lead in this game, targeting down all of Lorelei's Gardevoir pieces and putting her into a really tough position here. Boss's orders on the Kirlia, Lightning Rondo to take the KO. Isaiah goes down to 3 prize cards remaining, and Lorelei top decks another Guardy, and she's going to have to bench the Zacian V here to stay in the game, but definitely in a very tough position because Isaiah's just going to be able to Serena up that Zacian V on his next turn. See William in chat. What's up, William? How you doing? Hope you're enjoying the stream. And yeah, tough decision here for Lorelei. Zacian V going down. And let's see here. Lorelei getting that psychic energy out of the deck with that Zacian V's Roar of the Sword ability. Starting to power it up, but we know that Isaiah has Serena in his hand, can retreat into Miraidon and just take the KO on that Zacian V. This Raikou V with 1 retreat cost and be able to get out of that active spot, and just an unfortunate game for Lorelei, not being able to get more Ralts out, not going to be able to get more Kirlias out, and just relying on the top deck and never quite getting there, never finding those Iono that she needed. And I think it really all comes down to Isaiah finding that Professor's Research off the top deck on turn 2. Otherwise, he would have had to play Iono and would have given Lorelei a fresh hand of 6 cards, but with that top deck of the Research, he's not forced to do it, and now he can just Serena up that Zacian V, take KO with Miraidon, go down to 1 prize card remaining, and there's nothing that Lorelei can do here. Even if she finds the Iono off the top deck, she finds Research, but Isaiah can just retreat, attack into this Manaphy next turn, and that's going to be game. But Lorelei playing that Professor's Research, drawing a new hand of 7 cards, finds Radiant Greninja, finds Artisan, finds ways to find more Ralts if she still has them in deck, but I don't even know if she has any left in deck. She can draw 1 more card here. I think she only drew 6 so far. Looking through her discard pile, it looks like she only had 2 Ralts in there, so she could go find Level Ball for Ralts, but if Isaiah has energy in hand, that's just going to be game when he retreats out of this Miraidon EX. So Lorelei just trying to decide what to do here, has the Level Ball to find a Ralts, has Cresselia, Radiant Greninja in hand that she can bench, but I think she's realizing that this might be the end here. Just passes the turn knowing that's the end for her. Isaiah has a switch card in hand that he can just switch into Regieleki VMAX, reset the attack on that Miraidon, retreat back into the Miraidon, and attack for the game. So definitely an unfortunate position for Lorelei to be in. Couldn't get enough Ralts pieces out, couldn't evolve them fast enough, and Isaiah just able to find boss's orders after boss's orders to target down each of those pieces that she had in play. And definitely well played by Isaiah. And that's one of the powerful things about that Miraidon EX deck. It's fast. It just gets going really quickly. It can attack turn 1 going second. Turn 2, just digging through the deck with those trekking shoes, using Radiant Greninja to draw more cards, and they're going to find the pieces that they need. And as long as they hit enough energy off of those electric generators, they're going to put themselves in a very good position to win the game really quickly. So Lorelei unfortunately going down there to Isaiah's Miraidon EX deck, but cool to see these lightning decks in action, moving lightning fast. So moving on to round 4 here, we'll be back in just a few minutes with our final Masters round in round 4. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Pokemon League Night here at the Forge on Tuesday nights. Back with our round 4 championship round between Tyler on the left side here and Oscar on the right side. Obviously Oscar, we know, already piloting that Gardevoir EX deck. Not entirely sure what Tyler's playing, but we'll see which one of them can go to 4-0 here and take the title here tonight at the Tuesday night League Night. So players just shuffling up here, getting those starting hands dealt out soon, and round 4 will be underway. But we'll see if Oscar can run as hot as he did in round 2 tonight when he played against Davin's Rapid Strike deck. Oscar just drew every card that he could possibly need. Every turn just drew everything he could possibly ask for, getting 2 Battle VIP Pass on turn 1 and then drawing boss's orders every time that he needed it to win that game. If Oscar runs that hot again with Gardevoir EX, there's really no stopping that deck. We'll see what sort of counters Tyler has in his deck here for round 4. But this player's just finishing up shuffling, and we'll get underway in just a few moments. Had about 25 players here tonight on Tuesday for League here at the Forge. If you haven't been down here yet, feel free to come on down to Chaska. Get involved on Tuesday nights. We start at 6:30. It's always a great place to play. You can either play for free if you want, or play for $10 entry and a pack for entry and a pack per win as well. So a lot of different options for casual or more serious players to get involved in the community down here. Always a fun place to play, and you might end up on stream as well and get a little gift for playing on stream. But we see this dice roll here to determine the first player, and our players are going to shuffle up their, or have shuffled up their decks and dealing out these opening hands. Going to get to see what Tyler's playing here soon, but Oscar with that Battle VIP Pass start, and I see some comfies on Tyler's side and a Path to the Peak. So Path to the Peak and those Grass and Psychic energies tell me Tyler's playing that Lost Zone Giratina deck, which, if it can get going quickly, is a pretty big problem for Guardy. They play those Path to the Peaks, and they can one-shot the Gardevoir EX with their V-Star power. So an interesting deck and an interesting matchup for us to see here. That fist bump tells us that this game is underway. Tyler's going to start here, going first with a draw for turn, and I believe we're going to see probably a Nest Ball for a Radiant Greninja, if I had to guess. Looking through his deck, we see a Roxanne. Roxanne Path could be very strong late game against Oscar's deck. See if he's prized this Radiant Greninja or not. No, it looks like it's in there, so he's going to be able to grab this Radiant Greninja off that Nest Ball if he chooses, but it looks like he's just going for another comfy here, going to build up that Lost Zone here on this first turn. Going to be able to, with those energy cards he has in hand, use at least 2 Flower Selectings this turn, if not more. But going to see this first Flower Selecting come down from this comfy. Look at the top 2 cards of the deck, put one in the Lost Zone, one in the hand. See a Path to the Peak and a Giratina V-Star, and he's already got a Path to the Peak in hand, so I imagine that other one's going to go to the Lost Zone. But no, valuing that Path to the Peak in this matchup against Gardevoir EX and sending that Giratina V-Star to the Lost Zone. Instead, a second Flower Selecting coming down, and he does find that Battle VIP Pass. Can't quite see what that second card is, but it looks like it was a Water Energy. Chose to take that Battle VIP Pass. You're going to be able to use it to go find, I have to imagine, Radiant Greninja and a Giratina V. VIP Pass, obviously one of the most powerful search cards in the format, but can only be utilized on the first turn. But a great card for these Lost Zone decks, because if you find it later in the game off of a Colress's Experiment or a Flower Selecting, you can just send it to the Lost Zone. But this VIP Pass being utilized by Tyler here, searching through his deck, trying to decide what to take, but it looks like we're probably going to ultimately settle on I believe those 2 cards that he placed down there, but he's going to have to reveal those because they go straight to the bench. But it was a Comfy and a Radiant Greninja. So not quite getting a Giratina V out here yet. Going to use this Radiant Greninja to discard a card and draw 2 more cards. Looks like he got a Pokegear and I believe a Switch. So he's going to be able to utilize Switch to switch into that other Comfy that has not used Flower Selecting yet. Use that third Flower Selecting and get a 3rd card into the Lost Zone. it looks like sending a battle VIP pass to the Lost Zone. Not quite sure what he chose over that, but I think we're just going to see the passive turn over to Oscar here. Oscar has that battle VIP pass start as well, and I think we're going to go see Oscar look for that Mew and probably another Ralts or potentially a Manaphy if he's worried about Radiant Greninja's Moonlight Shuriken attack. Looks like Mew may be prized in this matchup for Oscar, but he does have access to that Manaphy and a Radiant Greninja as well. So I'm not sure if Oscar had energy in hand, but he could go for that Radiant Greninja to draw more cards and potentially find another battle VIP pass. Choosing that Manaphy, valuing that Manaphy, concerned about that Moonlight Shuriken coming down from Tyler's Radiant Greninja. Maybe changing his mind here, choosing to grab that Greninja over the Manaphy, saying, I'm going to draw 2 cards with this concealed cards and going to find another VIP pass, or at least another way to find Manaphy. And frankly, he may not have to worry about this concealed cards, or sorry, the Moonlight Shuriken on the other side of the field. If Tyler's not able to find a Colress's Experiment, he needs a lot of pieces to get up to the 7 in the Lost Zone, get a couple switch outs to utilize more Comfies, and then ultimately he needs Mirage Gate and Water Energy. And we already saw 1 in Water Energy go to that Lost Zone. So potentially no chance at that Moonlight Shuriken until turn 3 for Tyler. But Iono coming down from Oscar, potentially giving Tyler a Colress's Experiment if he didn't have one already, but gives Oscar a chance to find more Pokemon to set up his board. And we see a Ralts in hand, an Ultra Ball to go find another basic, and I think to be safe here, we're probably going to see Oscar Ultra Ball for that Manaphy, unless he's very confident that that Moonlight Shuriken is not happening on this turn. We see that that concealed cards does find Oscar that battle VIP pass. So Oscar going to be able to battle VIP pass here, find a Ralts if he wants to, but chooses to go potentially for Cresselia. I think that is the bold play here, but I think the safe play is certainly to bring that Manaphy down, avoid any bench damage that Greninja can do on the other side of the field. And that's what Oscar ultimately decides to do here. Grabs that Manaphy, and I think we're probably just going to see a memory skip here on Ralts. But choosing to save that Ralts, retreats it into the Radiant Greninja, and then uses Roar of the Sword to start powering up that Zacian V. I think that's a smart move from Oscar here. You don't want to leave that Ralts vulnerable in the active spot. Just gives it a free target for Cramorant on Tyler's side of the field. But looking at Tyler's hand, I'm not seeing a Colress's Experiment there yet. Off that Iono to 6, still couldn't find it. And has to Lost Zone an Iono here off of that Flower Selecting. I believe his choice there was Iono or Giratina V-Star, and that's certainly a tough choice, and has to get rid of the Iono here. Finds another Iono off of this concealed cards, and I think sorry, just had to fix something there. Tyler utilized concealed cards and then tried to Lost Zone one of those pieces, thought that he had used a Comfy, but it was actually a concealed cards. But now utilizing Jet Energy to bring another Comfy active, use another Flower Selecting, Lost Zones another Comfy, and has Colress's Experiment now. So we are going to see Tyler get to 7 in the Lost Zone. And depending what he finds off of this, it may have been a very good thing that Oscar chose to go find that Manaphy on his last turn. Tyler has a pretty tough decision here, has some switching cards, has Sableye, has Roxanne off of this Colress, and has to choose what to keep. But looks like he's sending away a switch card and a Roxanne. Has to keep that Sableye for sure. Very good card in this matchup once he gets to 10 in the Lost Zone. But one thing we haven't seen from Tyler yet is a Giratina V coming down. And that's certainly something that Tyler needs to get into play ASAP here, as it is his main attacker in this Giratina deck. But he will be able to retreat out of this Cramorant and get some damage on Oscar's board with that Spit Innocently attack doing 110 damage to this Radiant Greninja if he chooses, but we also see that he does have an Escape Rope in hand. And he could Escape Rope around this Greninja and do that damage to something else. And we are going to see him play that Escape Rope, and I imagine Oscar's forced to just send up either Manaphy or Zacian here. And Manaphy is the choice, and we're going to see Tyler take one prize with a Spit Innocently attack on Cramorant, knocking out that Manaphy. I think that's okay to get rid of the Manaphy here. Oscar has the option of playing Super Rod and being able to get that Manaphy right back out onto his field on the next turn. As long as he doesn't give up any of these Gardevoir pieces, he has a lot of draw power to do just that. We see Oscar top deck for turn and energy, going to be able to use concealed cards. Has a Kirlia already to evolve one of those Ralts. He has an Ultra Ball already in hand to find another Kirlia as well. We're going to see a concealed cards first, and it looks like we draw into a Shining Arcana Gardevoir and a Gardevoir EX. Refinement to get rid of that Psychic Energy, and Oscar always finding his rare candies here, rare candies into that Gardevoir EX, and he's going to be attacking on this turn too. Always very powerful when you can get into that Gardevoir EX on the second turn as this Gardevoir deck. I think we're going to see an Iono come down here as well, so Tyler shuffling this big hand to the bottom of his deck, drawing only 5 cards for the 5 prize cards he has left. Oscar doing the same, but drawing up to 6. And it looks like he has a level ball to go get another Kirlia as well. Haven't found that Super Rod yet, so is not going to be able to recycle the Manaphy on this turn. But he does also have the rare candy. He can Ultra Ball for Shining Arcana Gardevoir here, rare candy into it, and the Greninja does not become a problem anymore in this game. Everything he has on his board will have high enough HP to not be knocked out by that Moonlight Shuriken attack. And that's exactly what we see Oscar do here. Grabs that active Zacian V, an attachment for turn from hand will power up that Zacian V's attack and be able to take that KO on Cramorant. Oscar going down to 5 prize cards remaining. Back on Tyler's side, we see a Mirage Gate in hand, and we're going to need to see a Colress here though if Tyler wants to get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone. I imagine that what he wants to do the most on this turn is to start utilizing that Sableye to start spreading damage counters around Oscar's board. We do see that Giratina V in hand, so Tyler can start getting Giratina V stars into play if he benches that this turn, able to evolve it on the following turn. Second flower selecting, finds that Colress's Experiment, getting rid of that Spiritomb, which doesn't do anything for him in this matchup. And that Colress Experiment will come down. As long as he finds a switching card, I believe he already has the Psychic Energy in hand to power up that Sableye that is on his bench. 2 Mirage Gates, Giratina V-Star, a Path to the Peak. Definitely some tough decisions for Tyler here. He's going to have to get rid of that Giratina V and maybe one of those Mirage Gates, but you definitely don't want to get rid of those Mirage Gates. That's your best way to power up your attackers in this matchup. But if he gets rid of the Giratina Vs, is he going to even have any attackers to power up? A very difficult decision, and one that I would not be happy to be faced with myself. Ultimately chooses to get rid of that Path to the Peak and a second Giratina V-Star going into the Lost Zone. Tough decisions here for Tyler. Now he's got 2 Giratina Vs in hand, 3 Mirage Gates. He's already retreated, and so he has no way out of this active position except to utilize that Jet Energy that he has in hand. But if he uses that Jet Energy, it's not what he needs to power up that Sableye. He needs a Psychic Energy. So is he going to have to attach Jet Energy to Sableye just to get it active and use Mirage Gate to get the Psychic Energies onto the Sableye as well? That feels horrible to have to do that, but it's the only way he's going to be able to attack this turn. Deciding what to do here, but eyeing up those Psychic Energies, I assume that Tyler's just going to have to attach 1 Psychic Energy to the Sableye. Maybe he takes a Grass Energy and attaches it to a Comfey for later, but he's only got 2 Grass Energy left in deck. He wants to save those for the Giratina Vs. But choosing to attach that Grass Energy to Greninja. Now he just needs 2 more waters on that Greninja to attack. And we see Jet Energy in hand. He's going to have to attach that to the Sableye to attack this turn. Let's see what he decides to do. Benching the Giratina V. Pulls that jet energy to the front of the hand. He knows he has to use it, and he does. He attaches it to the Sableye, and that feels so bad, having to attach 2 energy to Sableye to have it attack. The whole appeal of Sableye is that it attacks for 1 energy. And we're going to see this Lost Mine start spreading damage counters around Oscar's board. Takes out that Kirlia with 80 HP. Places the remaining 4 damage counters on the Shining Arcana Gardevoir. Oscar already has Iono in hand and has the Zacian V active, already powered up to respond to the Sableye. And we didn't see a Giratina V-Star in Tyler's hand, and he already sent 2 to the Lost Zone. If he doesn't find Giratina V-Star on the next turn, he has no way to KO this Zacian. Oscar deciding what to do here, has a little bit of card draw with the Shining Arcana Gardevoir and the Greninja as long as he has an energy in hand. Trying to decide, he does have a boss here. I think he's trying to decide whether or not to boss up the Giratina V, and he ultimately does decide to do that. Going to be able to attach these 3 energies with that Psychic Embrace ability to that Zacian, but choosing to use the Shining Arcana Gardevoir's ability first to draw 2 more cards. We're going to see Palpad come down. I assume he's going to shuffle that boss back and probably the Iono that he played earlier. Shuffling those back into the deck. And then we'll see 3 energies come down onto the Zacian V from that Shining Arcana ability on the Gardevoir EX. Such a powerful ability. Able to accelerate as many Psychic Energy from your discard into play as you want during your turn. The only limitation is that it puts 2 damage counters onto your Pokemon for each energy that it attaches. So 6 damage counters coming onto this Zacian V from those 3 energy being attached. But he's going to take this KO on the Giratina V and go down to 3 prize cards remaining. And Oscar taking a commanding lead here. 3 prizes to 4 prizes, but taking out Tyler's main attacker. And Tyler can attack with this Sableye this turn, take 1 prize off of that Shining Arcana Gardevoir on the bench. But then he's just leaving that Zacian active with all that energy ready to swing again. The other thing that Tyler does have access to, though, is he has Giratina V in hand. Now with those 6 damage counters on the Zacian V from that Psychic Embrace ability, Giratina V's Shred attack doing 160 damage can knock out the Zacian V. We know that Tyler has a couple of Mirage Gates in hand, Psychic Energy I believe, and a Giratina V. So he would be able to power up a Giratina V on this turn and take the knockout on that Zacian V. And with this Path to the Peak in play, if Oscar doesn't have a Response Stadium, he's not going to be able to utilize that Psychic Embrace ability on his next turn. So Nest Ball coming down from Tyler, I think just utilizing that to search his deck, make sure he's got the appropriate energies in there before he Mirage Gates. And so I think we're going to see Giratina V come down on this turn and then a Mirage Gate to power it up. Giratina V, attach of the turn with that Psychic Energy onto it, and then Mirage Gate's going to go find that Psychic Energy and Grass Energy that Tyler just made sure was in the deck by utilizing that Nest Ball. And he's going to just be able to retreat out of the Sableye with that Jet Energy on. But Tyler only deciding to attach 1 energy to this Giratina V for some reason off of that Mirage Gate, and seems strange, but maybe he's got a plan up his sleeve. Just choosing to KO that Shining Arcana Gardevoir on Oscar's bench and able to put 2 more damage counters onto the Zacian V. But we already know that Zacian V has enough energy on it to KO a Giratina V, and if Oscar is able to find another boss's orders, he's going to be able to KO that Giratina V. And we see that Oscar does have that Lost Vacuum in hand and the Lost City, so 2 ways to bump that Path to the Peak Stadium coming down for Oscar. And I think we're going to see at the very least a KO on this Sableye, if not a way for Oscar to find a boss's orders and KO that Giratina V. Another difficult thing is I believe Tyler Lost Zoned 1 Iono and potentially 1 Roxanne. He may have 1 more Iono left in deck, I'm not entirely sure, but if he doesn't have a way to disrupt Oscar's hand, Oscar is just going to continue to be able to bump these Path to the Peaks that Tyler puts into play, because we see that Oscar already has the Lost Vacuum in hand. Oscar finding that Psychic Energy off the Fog Crystal and using concealed cards to draw 2 more. Not so lucky there though, wasn't able to find the boss's orders, and he can't really research this hand away. He'd be getting rid of his last 2 stadium bumps. I think we have a frozen camera here for a second, but we'll get that fixed and we're right back here. So we see Oscar utilize that Iono. Both players shuffle their hand to the bottom of their deck and draw 3 cards. And Oscar just searching through his discard pile here, trying to decide what to do. We see Super Rod in that hand, and he's going to be able to Super Rod back some of these Ralts and Kirlias and Gardevoirs. Choosing to Super Rod back 2 Ralts and the Manaphy. And we see, I believe he had Level Ball or Fog Crystal already in hand to bring one of those right back down to his bench. Choosing not. Maybe he's going to Super Rod the Manaphy back in and ultimately decides to do that. Has Fog Crystal to get back one of those Ralts and an Iono in hand for next turn. So Ralts coming back down to the bench. The other 2 going to be shuffled back into the deck from that Super Rod. And then I think we're just going to see a KO on this Sableye, and we'll see after that Iono if Tyler has the energy to be able to attack with this Giratina V to KO on this Zacian. Looks like he does have Colress in hand from that Iono, so Tyler is going to be able to dig a little bit deeper into his deck and find the cards he needs to get this KO. And then the only question is, will Oscar be able to respond again on the next turn? Oscar taking KO on the Sableye, has Iono in hand, but it's only going to draw him 2 cards on the next turn, but he does get a Psychic Energy off of that prize card, and so he will be able to utilize Radiant Greninja's concealed cards to draw 2 more cards. But that's if Tyler doesn't find a Path to the Peak. Giratina V, this deck we already know plays a lot of Path to the Peak. I'm not sure how many more Tyler has available to him, but he has a Colress and a Comfey here to draw more cards, and he top decks the Path to the Peak. Horrible news for Oscar if he's not able to find a response on the next turn. And we see this Colress come down. We see the energy needed to fully power up that Giratina V. We also see that V-Star. So Tyler has a lot of options here. I think we could see him evolve into that V-Star, utilize that V-Star power on the Giratina V-Star to KO this Zacian, and then all he needs to do is knock out 1 more Pokemon for game. Getting rid of that Iono and Psychic Energy. And he has the Jet Energy to get the Giratina V into the active spot, but he can still utilize this Flower Selecting on the active Comfey. Tyler here using that Flower Selecting finds, I believe that was an Escape Rope and something else, not sure what the second card was, but has that Boss's Orders in hand now. I don't think he had that before, so he must have found that off the Flower Selecting. Jet Energy, bringing this Giratina V-Star to the active spot, and I think we're going to see a Star Requiem to knock out this Zacian V. That means that Tyler has Boss's Orders in hand to take a knockout with Giratina V-Star on whatever he wants on the next turn. Not going to have to go through that Gardevoir EX because he has that Boss's Orders. Oh, I forgot that he had that energy on the Greninja, so he doesn't have to waste his Star Requiem here. He's able to just use that first attack on Giratina V-Star to take the KO, save the Star Requiem for that Gardevoir EX if Oscar tries to put it up as a wall on the next turn. And Oscar with that Losty out, that Zacian V does have to go to the Lost Zone. But it may not be an issue. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But if he does try to bring it back, yep, Tyler pointed to that Zacian V saying, send that to the Lost Zone. But it doesn't really matter because Oscar has Zacian V, from second Zacian V in this deck. And he has all the energy he needs for this KO because Tyler forgot to play that Path to the Peak on his last turn. And if Tyler plays that Path to the Peak, I don't think Oscar has any way to take this KO because he can't use Psychic Embrace, but because Tyler forgot to play that Path to the Peak, Oscar just fully powers up this Zacian V and takes the KO for game. And an unfortunate error there by Tyler, had the Path to the Peak in hand, forgot to play it, and Oscar ultimately taking that game off of Giratina V-Star. The question is, Oscar did have a supporter in hand to draw a few more cards on that turn. So could he have found a stadium out? Potentially, but definitely Tyler should have played that path to the peak, and I actually do think that it would have won him the game there. So an unfortunate mistake, but Oscar going to 4-0 tonight with that powerful Gardevoir EX deck, and being our reigning champion here at our Forge Tuesday night league night. An exciting night here at the Forge as always. If you haven't been here yet, feel free to come on down. Tuesdays at 6:30 every week is our league night here at the Forge. Free entry if you just want to play, and $10 entry if you want a pack for entry and a pack per win. But multiple options for any level of skill of a player. If you're new, if you're old, if you're just getting into the game, this is a great place to experience competitive play, and a ton of people here to help you out building your first deck and just learning the game, and a lot of skilled players as well if you want to come to compete with everyone else here. So feel free to stop on by on Tuesdays at 6:30. Visit the Forge in Chaska. Visit us online as well at theforgemn.com for all your gaming needs, and we hope to see you next week here at the Forge.